October 18th, 2021. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 242 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
All right, so this is a bonus episode. We just want to get caught up on a lot of the voicemails that came in while we were on our break.
Yep.
So let's just jump right into it. First up is Nate.
Hey guys, love the podcast. This is Nate in San Diego. Just a quick trip report from the Pacquiao-Ugas weekend. The fight didn't go the way we wanted to, but several members of Pacquiao's entourage was not able to attend, so they upgraded my friends and I up to the front, which was an awesome experience.
Nice. In
the Jack Daniels lounge, which also had free alcohol. We were originally supposed to be up in the nosebleeds with our backs against the wall, so that was an added plus. Craps-wise, everything was $25, even at the Flamingo where we were staying. And I can't believe the Flamingo has the audacity to have a $25 crap table and a $50 right next to it. Ridiculous. We did get to play on the shoot to win craps with the virtual tabletop, and that was only $10, and it's just not the same. And it's weird because it's not felt. It's like a hard plastic, so it seems like the dice would be bouncing around a little bit more. No vibe. The one stickman that was there was spacing out, and I love having the feel of the chips in my hand while playing. So overall, didn't really get to play. I feel like I've been priced out of playing craps nowadays. We did find $5 craps at Ellis Island, but that had maybe 2 to 3 people deep waiting to get into the game. That's it, and I hope to run into you guys at Rincon one day. Thanks.
Yeah, you know, roll to win is a nice option for cheaper play, but it's not the same.
No,
you know?
I mean, I always playing with a chip or two in my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, at least 2 chips to fumble with. I mean, what would I play with at that table?
I guess you'd have to take your own chips over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually bring them to the table. Or maybe
dropping them on the table.
Yes,
my hands down in the table and stuff.
No bet. Yeah, you know, the high limit still. Well, this was a fight weekend, so that could have had something to do with it,
that
too.
That probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Hopefully we're going to see, you know, some minimums coming down, but we'll see, you know, when...
I think when kind of summer's over, which is technically over, but, you know, people still going to Vegas. But I think after, like, Christmas.
Yeah.
And get into January, February, maybe things will go down unless there's a big convention, you know.
Sure, that's always something. But when I was in Vegas a couple weekends ago with Tim Lawson, we went down to El Cortez, $15 minimum table at El Cortez.
Right.
I mean, you know.
And that was in the day.
Yeah, that was during the day.
Yeah.
So maybe that was an anomaly, but Tim was actually asking me on his show about stadium gaming and what I think of it. And this kind of applies to roll to win craps as well. I like the idea. You know, it's nice. You kind of, you're by yourself. You don't have to make a bet every time. And, you know, there's no pressure.
Right.
But it's almost an excuse for them to raise the limit at regular tables. So now...
So you're paying for an experience?
Yeah. So now, you know, low rollers have less opportunities to play at real tables.
Right.
Because of these electronic options.
Sure.
So that's the real downside there. And
I guess the casino says, hey, if you want a low game, you know, we've got that stadium gaming over there or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, go over there. For them, it's like a slot machine, right? It's just sitting there making money and they're not putting a lot into it.
Yep.
Versus a table game where they're putting manpower into it and stuff, and they have to be a little more leery of cheating and things going on, right?
At a regular table,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know, there's a little more probably security. I mean, I doubt if there's a lot of cameras watching, you know, stadium gaming.
Well, there, you know, I mean, there are cameras on them, but they're not looking at it, you know, as closely unless they see somebody, you know, fiddling with the machine in some way,
using some device or something.
But it was probably exacerbated too by COVID. You know, when these limits went up, and now, you know, it's kind of so
unintended consequences.
Yeah,
that's what that's called.
Yeah,
and in the whole world. I mean, it's not just in casinos, but in a lot of things, there are unintended consequences of weird things.
Yeah, but unintended consequences. It has kind of a negative connotation to it, right?
Right.
But this is something that actually helped the casino in a way.
Right. In their case,
it's
it
like,
helped them,
hey,
but
this was
negative for the
unintended,
player, right? The casino ahead of time didn't think, hey, let's put in all this stadium and get rid of our regular tables. Right. But then when COVID hit, it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
hopefully things will turn around. All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Nick in Kalamazoo, Michigan, with a quick trip report. Just went to Las Vegas for about a week. Had a good time. Having a $400 a day bankroll, though, as a craps player was really difficult. So we hit up some local places. Jerry's Nugget is one of our favorites. We always go there every trip. We were there 3 or 4 times. Their tables were previously $3, now up to $5, but a good time was had. I hit a straight flush on their ultimate Texas Hold'em table, which paid out $750. So ended up with about $800 when I got to the cage. They had to call upstairs when I was cashing in 8 black chips. Got approval, cashed out a small place. That's a lot of money for them. And then my wife hit $1,000, which was a hand pay without taxes at Jerry's playing dime video poker. So that was pretty cool. Spun the wheel and hit the maximum prize. So that was great for us. We also went out to Cannery, had a good time out there. They have the fire bet. Made a little bit of money while we were playing out that way. And also, as always, a good time at Ellis Island. Great dealers, fun food, fun atmosphere. Always enjoy going there. 2 new places for it this time were Suncoast and Sam's Town, which we'd never been to. Both had $10 tables. But what was weird, we'd never seen before, I believe it was at Sam's Town, they had a bet called 4 rolls before the 7. So you can make a bet before the dealer shoots. If you get 4 rolls without a 7, you get paid even money. I'd never seen it before. Just something different. A lot of people were betting it. As well, found $5 tables at South Point early in the mornings. And then downtown was all 10 or 15, so we didn't spend much time there. We did go to Laughlin for our first time. We were down there for a night at Harrah's to burn some Caesars comps and decided to walk over to Aquarius. Well, actually, we didn't walk. We took the water taxi, but not the point. $5 table there on a Thursday. Had probably the most fun I've ever had playing craps. There were a couple other guys there that quickly were able to tell that they were craps dealers. I kind of was talking about some of the locals places we went to, and we became fast friends. One of the guys was making 3-way hard bets, one for him, one for me, one for the dealers. We hit the all tall small on a roll, which was great. I only had $1. The dealers had $3 on it. Lots of people making money, everybody high-fiving. Hit a couple hard ways myself, so I turned $200 at a $5 table into $800, which was awesome. Found out they were dealers at Park MGM, so we decided one night to go over there, which was a $15 table. But after listening to you guys talk about you can do it, just be careful with your money, I ended up playing for about 2 hours on the same $200 buy-in, just placing the 5, 6, and 8, collecting a couple and then pressing. And after a few good rolls, I was able to play the pass line and single odds with everybody else. Just had a lot of fun. So it was a great time in Vegas. We weren't big winners, but we did come home with some of our money, which in my opinion is always a big win. I appreciate the podcast. You guys do an excellent job, and I appreciate the entertainment. Hope to catch up with you sometime and get to meet you guys face to face. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Yeah.
When he was saying about cashing in at a small place where they, it reminded me, my dad and I once went to Vegas and didn't do well. And we're coming home driving, and we stopped and we went into Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm. They're right there at State Line.
Yeah. State Line, yeah. And I only had a limited amount of money left, maybe $400 or $500. So I bought in at the craps table. Ended up cashing out for between $5,000 and $6,000. And oh my God, what an uproar cashing out! It took forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, how did he get $5,000
right
chips? And they only had hundreds. That was the highest denomination
chips.
on the table.
100 chips.
Yeah, $100
right.
chips.
Right.
Yeah, so I had, almost $6,000 in $100 chips because, they didn't have any $5,000 or $1,000 chips.
Yeah.
And now, walking up the cashier with a boatload of chips.
He must have cheated.
Yeah.
Our games are set up for the house to win. How did he end up with all these chips?
That was quite a few years ago, and I'm sure it was like a $5 minimum table.
Yeah.
So, they don't see that much action.
Yeah. He was talking about the fire bet at Cannery. Yeah, it's kind of making a comeback in Las Vegas. when I was there a couple weeks ago, the Plaza, they have no side bets at all.
Right.
And I kind of jokingly mentioned the fire bet because somebody was rolling a lot of points. And they said they had it there until about, I think they said 6 years ago. So I guess a lot of casinos just didn't like paying the royalties or, whatever. So, yeah.
It's a good side bet for a craps table because it's not a lot of work for the dealers.
Not a lot of work for the dealers. I imagine casinos don't make all that much money on it because the bet isn't made very often as compared to, say, the all small tall. So, yeah, but it certainly is less work, right?
Way less work. And the pit doesn't have to really monitor it too much until somebody already gets 4 or something. You know, that all tall, all small. I mean, almost every roll, he's like, okay, he's one away.
Yeah, they got to keep track of it. And a lot of times the dealers miss it. And,
And there could be more disputes with that, too.
Yeah.
How many of these casinos that he mentioned have you been to?
Oh, gosh. So let's see. I've been to Jerry's Nugget. I've never been to Cannery. I think I've been to Suncoast with you, right?
Yes.
I've been to Sam's Town.
Yeah, I stayed at Sam Town once.
I did too with the family once. Yeah. God, I don't think I've ever been to South Point.
I have. I've been to South Point.
Yeah, that's strange. Harris Laughlin, when he was in Laughlin, yes.
Right.
Aquarius, gosh, I don't even know.
No,
we were there so long ago. It might have been something different
then.
Yeah. And of course, Park MGM.
Yeah, Cannery is the one I know for sure.
Yeah, we need to get out there. Yeah, just a locals place. I haven't
been to that.
Yeah. He was talking about this bet at Sam's Town. We know it as 4 for the money. And it's just an even money bet. You make it, and if 7 doesn't come up in the next 4 rolls, you win.
You win.
It's very simple. Like they said, a lot of people were betting it. That's kind of surprising.
Well, if you bet it at the beginning of the roll and the guy comes out with like 3 7s, they could make pretty good money on that.
The casino, you mean?
Yeah, the casino.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, from a player standpoint, you said a lot of people were playing it. So, I mean, that's what surprised me is that
you have to put that out at the beginning of a shooter's roll, or can you put it out any time during the roll?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I was at Sam's Town a while ago, and I didn't even notice the bet if it was there when I was there. That's a good question. I would guess that you could bet it at any time as long as nobody else is already on it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So that they can kind of keep track. So they don't have to keep track of
like when
separate bets. It's
It's
like you can't bet an all small tall once somebody's already made the bet, right?
Right.
And something's been rolled. Yeah. So
that's probably true. That's probably it. Because otherwise, so if you were the only person on the table, you could wait till you established a point, then make that bet.
Yeah.
Hoping that you had a good roll and you'd win that bet.
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah.
And I wonder if after 4 rolls and you haven't rolled a 7, do they pay you and you can remake the bet?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's got about a 3.55% house edge, which, for a side bet's not too bad. It's not as bad as placing the 5 or 9.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Alex. The audio kind of cuts in and out in the middle, but I think you'll get the gist of the call.
Okay.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Alex from Atlanta, Georgia. Just calling to give a brief trip report. I was in Biloxi, I had previously mentioned, this past weekend, and I played at Hard Rock, IP, Beau Rivage, and Harris. They all pretty much had $25 table minimums, except Hard Rock, they had a $15 table. I was planning on playing in the poker tournament on Sunday. However, I got on a really hot table early on, and I just couldn't get off of it. The table was, it was smoking hot. I really wanted to get off and go log on, but I was thinking about how much money I was leaving up there. And pretty much the luck continued throughout the entire week. Be on the next one, but anyways, I hope y'all are doing well, and I look forward to hearing the rest of you. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, so Alex, he's talking about our poker tournament, right? That you can bet on that poker tournament. He's the one who made the final table in our first 2 tournaments.
Right. Well, perfectly understandable if he was on a heater.
Oh, yeah.
I excuse that.
Yes.
And there's not too many things I excuse.
So you excuse that? All right, so
Yeah.
Alex wanted to be able to keep his streak going.
Yes.
And he wanted us to ignore this last tournament. As far as his final table streak goes.
No, that doesn't.
Okay, so you're not giving him an excuse.
Not giving him an excuse for that.
Okay.
Not for the streak. No. No.
All right, I wanted to make sure that was clear on that.
No, just I understand why he didn't play.
You understand why. Because I would have done the same thing.
Right.
I wouldn't even have played in our tournament.
Right.
Would have been a huge disaster. Nobody's actually running it, keeping track of anything.
Right. Oh, Mark's on a heater. I don't.
Why would he go?
What was that casino he mentioned in the middle that
Beau Rivage?
Beau Rivage.
Okay,
Yeah. That's a good name.
Well, of course.
For a casino. I like that.
Especially in Biloxi.
Yeah, right. But it's, I like those unusual names. Now, down here, San Manuel Casino,
Right.
they changed their name.
Completely changed their name, yeah.
Yeah, to Yamava.
Right, yeah, like a Native American
like a Native
word,
American. And it means something like it's a word from their language that is a nice word. But doesn't that sound better? I'm going to Yamava Casino as opposed to San Manuel.
Yeah, I do.
So every casino should go on. And I'm never going to give up on Resorts World changing their name. That's just too stupid a name. Way too stupid a name.
Yeah. Well,
they need to change it to something.
Yeah, it's very plain. It doesn't.
It's very plain.
Yeah.
So we should probably run a contest where people name Resorts World.
Okay, so we should run the contest. For a company we have no interest in.
Right.
And then
sometimes, Mark, you have to take a stand in life. You can't just sit on the sidelines.
Dear Resorts World, here are the results of our survey.
We'd greatly appreciate it if you changed it to this.
Please credit us when you rename your casino. No monetary compensation necessary.
We just want it in one of the commercials. No, seriously, think we have to stand up. It's an issue that we feel strongly about.
Okay, badly named casinos.
Badly named casinos. The people writing in with names will be based on their experience there, right?
Yeah, that's right. Dog poop. I think I saw a guy whose dog was pooping in the lobby. So
dog poop.
Dog poop casino.
That's
Las Vegas.
That's the one we'll own.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, it's Anthony from Missouri. Just calling about a trip report from Vegas. Just got back. We went a Friday to a Tuesday. We stayed at the Palazzo. That's where my dad likes to stay. I went with him, just him and I. A little bit too high normally of limits, but we make it work and go around. So Friday we got in and went down to play a little bit before dinner. Actually was surprised to see around 4 p.m. a $15 table for craps. So we hopped on for a bit and actually went up a little bit of money or stayed about even. Saturday, we golfed there in the area, and then we actually went to Ellis Island for dinner, barbecue dinner. It was great food, and we played some $5 craps there. My dad was throwing a lot of horn numbers. Usually I don't hop on that, but I did, and ended up winning a horn bet. So that was great. Then we walked down to Harris, $15 and $25 tables, so we hopped on the Roll to Win. That was $10 table there. Didn't do so hot, lost my bankroll. Sunday, we spent the day downtown, played craps at Binion's. They had a $10 table there downtown. Actually rolled for a long time and made some money. Then we went to Circa to watch some of the football games, and man, that place is just amazing. I know that people have said it, but it's like a strip property right downtown. It was really beautiful, great place to be. Couldn't get to Stadium Swim. It was $100 to get in for a Stadium Swim. Kind of a lot. We then went to Oscars for dinner, and I played a $15 table at the Palazzo on Sunday night. Was kind of surprised to see that. Actually taught this guy how to play. He had no idea what the heck he was doing, throwing $25 on 12s, $25 hot bets. So I kind of taught him what we knew. Then Sunday, went to Sahara, and their craps table wasn't open until 10. So we went to the Strat, and we did a $5 roll to win table. That was awesome. Rolled 23 times. And then we went to watch the Raiders, and then eventually went to New Orleans. I wanted to check it out. So 4 nights, 4 days there pretty much, and it was an awesome time. Masks were being worn. They're enforcing it at the tables and everything else that you do at it too. So just want to give you guys that trip update, and love what you guys do. Thanks.
Okay, so $100 to get into Stadium Swim on an NFL Sunday.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, right? If you're not staying there. So
yeah, they have limited capacity. So
yeah, and it's not something I'd pay for. I'd actually rather be inside, playing games and
watching
looking at
it
the
on
real,
the TV. Yeah.
All right, next up is Bob.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Bob from Maine calling. We have got our little casino up here, Oxford Casino. Things are kind of returning back to normal. Table minimums start at $10. Then on the weekend nights go up to $25, but it's pretty much $10 until things start to get crowded. They are, however, having some trouble with staffing. So at times only half the tub is open, but that seems to be rectifying itself finally. But I do have a couple questions. I'm so curious as to how things work. If you guys could explain diceless craps that you have to deal with cards in California. I can't really visualize that. So if you go into a little bit of detail as far as like, the prop bets and, the hard ways, how does that all work? And then secondly, as I've been pressing my bets, it's been great. I'm just curious, do you guys ever regress down? Mike, I don't think you probably ever do, but I'm just curious how you do when you're in the middle of a good roll. Do you take some of that off the table, or do you just let it go until 7 pops up and off you go? Anyway, love the show. You guys do a great job. Take care.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, basically, Mike, you don't ever regress.
I don't.
Maybe you've tried it once or twice.
Yeah, I've tried it. But, I was telling you the other night, I'm thinking about using this system that our friend David out at Harris Rincon uses. Mm-hmm. I really kind of am intrigued by that. He's a fairly big bettor.
Yes.
And so he'll put $600 each on 6 and 8.
Yeah.
$500 on 5 and 9, and $100 on 4 and 10. Mm-hmm. And if 5 or 9 comes up, he collects the $700 and then goes down to 100.
Ah, yeah, okay.
And then slowly builds it up from there, 100, 200 if they hit again. Mm-hmm. 6 and 8, he presses a little bit. So he'll go from 6 to like, say, 750.
Okay, so he only regresses on the 5 and 9.
He regresses on the 5 and 9.
And then once he does that, then he goes up on everything. But I see. Yeah.
But he goes up on 6 and 8 right from the beginning, slowly, not a full-on press. And then 4 and 10, it kind of varies, but a lot of times he'll collect the first one, kind of like get your money back. If one of them comes up, you got the $200 you put in. Yeah. And then after that, he'll just slowly press those up too.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting way to play because he regresses on the 5 and 9 and ups on the 6 and 8.
Neither one of us has ever done any kind of regression in the middle, quote unquote, of a hot roll.
No.
There are times when I will do it initially, kind of like David, but all I'll be doing is betting, say, $60 on the 6 and 8.
Right.
And then when either one of them hits, I take it both of them down to 30.
Right.
And then if I do end up pressing, I wait for him to hit a few more times, something like that.
Right. Yeah. You were doing that for quite a while. Yeah. And that actually is not a bad way to play.
Yeah.
What you're risking is that immediate 7 out.
Yes. And then
like with David, that's what you're risking. I mean, a lot of it.
Yeah, as far as card craps go, so in California, the law is that all table games have to be based on cards. This is an antiquated law. And the rationale behind it probably was, we don't want them dealing craps and roulette. We want it to all be card games. So the casinos have gotten clever, and they've gotten ways around it by making roulette based on cards and making craps based on cards. What we should say up front, though, is that all the bets are still the same. Yes. At these craps tables. So the only difference is determining what the roll is going to be, and that's based on cards. And it's really up to the casino to come up with how they're going to do that. In some cases, a casino just prints out 36 cards representing all 36 possible rolls of the dice and puts it in an automatic shuffle machine, and then
whatever pops
takes
up
a card out, and that's the roll.
Right.
But the most common way that they base craps on cards is what they now do at Harrah's Southern California. On the felt, there are 6 boxes, 6 rectangles, numbered 1 through 6. And for every new shooter, they take 6 cards, ace through 6, and shuffle them, kind of a wash on the table, shuffle them real good. And then one by one, they put these cards, ace through 6, into these boxes. 1 through 6.
Right.
So it's all mixed up.
Right. So in box number 1, there could be a card with a 6.
Right.
Box number 2 could have a card with a 4.
Right. And then what they do is, since people like to roll dice, they still allow you to roll, real dice. But the number that comes up on the dice will determine what cards will represent the roll. So, for example, you roll the dice and it comes up 1, 6. Well, whatever cards are in rectangles 1 and 6, they'll kind of push those forward, and that will be the actual roll. So if, there's a 2 in box 1 and a 3 in box 6, they push that forward and the roll is 5.
It's 5, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they line up where just by random, box 1 is a 1 and box 6 is a 6 and all the way down. And then it's just like regular dice. And sometimes they're opposite. And sometimes a 7 really is a 7, but a 1 and a 6 on the dice might be a 3 and the 4 on the cards.
Right. So,
something like that.
It's incredibly stupid, but it gets around the law.
Right.
And it turns out that, mathematically, it's the exact same game.
Right.
Exactly the same. So, again, all the bets are the same. They pay the same. You can take odds. Everything else is the same. It's just determining what the roll is.
I was just telling somebody the other day who was complaining about a 4-4 came up on the dice, and it turned out to be a 2.
Ace.
Yeah, ace. And so they're like, oh, see, in Vegas, that's a hard 8. The very next roll, the person rolled 6-6, which was a hard 8. On the 6th spot was a 4. And I said, so it hurt you that one roll, but that roll you're not complaining. They rolled 12 and you got a hard 8.
Yeah.
So, it goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I'd like to say about Bob's Casino, Oxford in Oxford, Maine.
Yes.
That's the name they came up with. The name of the town, Oxford.
You don't like that either?
No.
Got to be a little more clever.
A little more. Moose balls.
What?
All one word. Moose balls casino.
See, the thing is, though, if they say Oxford Casino, well, I know where it is. If they say
Maybe.
they say
you might go to Oxford, Connecticut.
Well, it could be, but if they say moose ball casinos, I'm thinking Canada, right? I mean, isn't that the first thing you think of with moose balls?
No, moose balls. I usually think of northern Minnesota.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is it like a delicacy there or something? I don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know. I got a moose story from northern Minnesota.
All right,
I'll tell you someday.
Off mic. All right, sounds good.
But anyway, kind of come up with a better name.
All right.
Right.
So that's your new thing now.
Yeah. I'm going to campaign this.
All right.
It's kind of like on Chrisley Knows Best, where the grandmother is the big gambler. And a lot of episodes revolve around her gambling.
Yeah.
And she was running for public office. And her whole campaign, they'd ask her about how do you feel about, school this or streets this or something. And she had no opinion on anything. The only thing she wanted involved the casino. And she wanted it to be, the way she wanted it, like, open all the time. And she just had all these casino things.
Okay.
That was her whole platform.
And so this is you now. You're running on the platform of you'd better have a clever casino name or we're not going to give you a license.
Right. Exactly. Come up with something fun.
All right. Well, enjoy that career or whatever you want to call it. I'll be watching from the side.
It's a side hobby.
Okay. All right. Next up is our good friend Taylor.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor from New Mexico. Just got back from Vegas. I just needed a kind of a short getaway and went to Vegas without realizing that life is beautiful and also iHeartRadio festivals were in town. So there were all these young festival goers who look like they're ready for some ecstasies. And also Iowa State fans everywhere. Iowa State was playing at UNLV, and I just happened to be there. Also, I didn't plan anything, but a couple of friends from the community happened to be there, so it was great just catching up with them. Hito Royal, I was due, and after the last trip, it felt little going into the overdue, but Hito Royal on the first day, I was hoping it could be my first 2 Royal trip, but no, it didn't happen. For anyone, I've gotten questions from people how I hit Royals all the time. I play a lot. So if you play 80,000 to 100,000 hands, you'll hit one for sure. Just play jacks or better or bonus poker that pays double on 2 pairs. So it just lasts longer, and I will just play 100,000 hands, you'll hit it. I probably play 5,000 to 8,000 hands a day, so it takes me about 20 days. So I go 2 to 3 days, 8 times a year, so once a year-ish. Anyway, miss you guys. Hopefully we'll see you in Vegas sometime. Okay, thanks for the podcast, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah. Taylor's our good friend, but really, Taylor, Have you looked up due
Taylor said he was due.
in the dictionary?
I think we're due.
Yeah, I think we're due, Taylor. I don't think you're due.
Now, Taylor sent a follow-up email. Let me read to you what he said. He said, one thing I forgot to mention is that Royal Flush on video poker comes up an average of 40,000 hands. He's talking about jacks or better if you're playing.
Right.
With 40,000 hands as a standard deviation. So when I said 80 to 100,000, what I meant is that it wouldn't be unusual to not have gotten a royal in 50,000 hands. But once it goes to honest 80,000 to 100,000 hands, you will have hit one by then. And I hate to disagree with you, Taylor.
Right.
But even after 100,000 hands,
right,
there's still a little over an 8% chance that you will have not hit a royal.
Okay.
I have this chart here, and I know people on the podcast can't see it, but you can see it here, Dr. Mike. The royal comes up once in about 40,391 hands. And if you were to play 40,391 hands, there's still about a 36% chance that you will not hit a royal, right? So, it can happen. You can go on these bad spreads.
You could hit 2 royals back to back.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's possible. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. So,
but, I think we played over 100,000 hands.
I think certainly between the two of us. Yeah,
easily, I'd say. And we've never hit one.
Yeah, I think Taylor's just trying to rub it in.
Yeah.
I think that's all it is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That I appreciate.
Yeah, respect.
Respect, yeah. You should give it to us. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're beating the odds. It's like, 8 shooters in a row with immediate 7 outs.
Yeah, we're beating the odds.
We're beating the odds. We do it all the time.
Yeah, luckily I was on the don't.
Yeah.
All right, next up is Tristan.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Tristan from Southern Orange County. Just calling to say it was awesome to see you guys yesterday at the casino. Show you my tattoo finally. Sorry I couldn't stick around. I was there for my mom's birthday and had to get to the bubble craps machine. But when I was talking to you guys, you were saying that the table wasn't going so hot. You guys should have come to the bubble craps machine. It was freaking amazing. There was so many hot shooter rolls. Like every other person that shot got on a hot shooter roll around the table all night from when we got there till about 1 or 2 in the morning. I bought into the game for $100 and cashed out for $1,100. It was awesome. Another thing I wanted to say that I actually didn't check the roll to win table at Harris, but when I was at Verona a couple of weeks ago, I was playing at the roll to win table, and they actually have a button on the upper right-hand corner of the screen that has like a little stick figure in a tuxedo, and it says tip. And you can press the button and tip the dealers from your betting kiosk, which is pretty cool. It's a way to tip the one dealer on the roll to win craps game, which I found pretty awesome because I don't like playing that game and not being able to tip. Again, it was awesome to see you guys, and the bubble craps was insanely hot. You should have come over there and killed it with us because it was great. All right. Bye.
Yeah, whether or not there is a tip button on a roll to win table screen will depend on the software. When the tables first came out, there was no tipping button.
Right.
But I would guess that most roll to win machines
Newer
have been
machines,
updated with the new software.
Right.
Even the older machines, if they have the new software on them, they'll have that tipping button on them now. And yeah, certainly it is that case in Harris, Southern California.
Otherwise, you can just go throw a tip on another table.
Yeah, that's what a lot
of people
before they had
did.
tips, before they actually had a tip button. That's what they would do. People would just walk over to the real craps table and like throw down a $5 bill and I'm tipping for playing over here. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so we saw Tristan. He has this fantastic tattoo on his arm of a craps table. Actually, no, it's just the box numbers,
right?
4 through 10,
right?
But it looks fantastic.
Yes.
I took a picture.
What was the point?
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember. Was it 6?
I think it was 6.
I think so too. I've got it on my phone. I could pull it up here, but I think it was 6. Yeah.
Well, I mean, talk about a devoted craps player.
Yes.
He's got a tattoo on his arm, and it's his mother's birthday, and they choose to, go play bubble craps.
That's fantastic.
So that is
Yep.
That's a respectful family, Mark.
I just looked it up. Yep. We remembered. The point was 6.
The point was 6. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
That's great.
You think he made it?
He made it?
Yeah.
No, he didn't give him... the point.
Not the tattoo.
Yeah. Sorry. I should have figured. Yeah, I think he made the point. Yeah. He didn't make the tattoo. Okay. Sorry, I didn't pick up on your joke.
I wonder how many people how many requests they would get for that.
For the box
tattoo
numbers?
artist. He's probably, well, I've never done this before.
I'm sure.
Sure you don't want a Smurf?
All right, next call.
Hey, what's up, Mark and Dr. Mike? This is Tucker from Moorhead, Kentucky, and I'm calling y'all because I'm turning 21 next week, so me and the old man are going to head over to Caesar, Southern Indiana to gamble for a day or two. And my question for you all is, I have about $1,000 bankroll for the trip, and we'll be playing a lot of table games, craps, blackjack, roulette, pai gow. Is there any benefit for me to go ahead and buy in for my entire bankroll or a large amount of my bankroll for comp benefits, even though I might not be willing to lose that much on that specific table? Like for craps, if I'm only willing to lose $200 or $300, is there any benefits for me going ahead and buying in for the full 1,000? But yeah, that's my question. Dr. Mike, I hope you're feeling better. Thanks.
So yeah, we actually got this call quite a while ago. And
right.
So I contacted Tucker so that we could kind of respond before he went on the trip. It sounds like he had a really good trip. So yeah, that was good. But yes, it is a good idea to buy in for more than you're willing to lose initially, especially if you make a couple of bigger bets.
Right off the bat.
Right? To, when the pit boss is looking.
Right.
Make sure, they're putting your information in. When he's looking to see what kind of bets you're making, especially at a craps table, maybe make a little bit higher bet than you normally would, and then you can kind of pull back. But here's the thing. If you're willing to do that, buy in for more money than you want to lose, make sure you've got the discipline to stop when you've lost that amount, because it's so easy to look and say, well, I've got the chips here.
I got the chips. I'll try one more roll.
Yeah.
No, if you say 200 your limit, you lost at 200, you got to be disciplined to walk away.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Definitely you should buy in for the 1,000 because the casino doesn't know you've set your limit on yourself.
Yes.
All they know is that, hey, this guy's willing to lose 1,000. So, he must be they're going to give you a little better rating.
Right.
And then when you walk away, they don't say, oh, he had set a limit. In their minds, they're thinking, oh, this table wasn't going good. He's going to try another one.
It's a cold.
Maybe he's going to go play blackjack, or maybe he's going to go, do something else.
Yeah.
So they don't look at you negatively when you walk away.
Yeah.
They just, think, oh, okay, well, he had enough.
And then, if maybe you normally would be making a $10 pass line bet, maybe make a $25 pass line bet for your first bet.
Right.
So that they see it. Now, don't take full odds against that $25.
Right.
Make the bets
single odds or something.
Something. But
and then a couple rolls later or whatever, you can go back to a $10 bet or something.
Yeah.
But they'll think, oh, he's a $25 player.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next up is Jason.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Jason with a trip report. Took a trip to northern Nevada, checked out West Wendover and Reno. I'm going to talk about West Wendover first. Didn't really play until I got to the Peppermill, Wendover, which is where I was staying. Joined the Players Club. Played craps, played some roulette, played some baccarat on a casino wizard machine, and then also played some video poker to try it out. Been learning about it and have played it before, never really got into it, but I have to admit on this trip that I really have learned to enjoy it. I went to the Rainbow Casino, bet the under on the Cowboys-Bucks game, which was that night, and obviously lost. Made 4 bets on horse racing, lost those, didn't do so well. But I was getting hungry, so I had an early dinner and then played craps at Montego Bay. Had a good time there. Then from there, I went back to the Peppermill. Played on the casino wizard machine again that they had at the Peppermill. Played craps this time. I don't advise doing that. Basically, one of the issues I had is that taking bets down was cumbersome. Like, it takes all your bets down. Like, say you had made a come bet and you had a place bet on the 6 and the come bet went to the 6. Well, you couldn't just take down the place bet on the 6 to put odds in your come. You had to take all your non-contract bets down. So it took down your place bet on the 6, the 8, any other odds you had. And then to make matters worse, when I tried to cash out, I couldn't. The buttons weren't working right. So I had to call a slot attendant over, and he helped me out. So overall, my experience in West Wendover, Montego Bay, Rainbow, and Peppermill casinos was a really good experience. I definitely will be going back. I also keep this a secret, but pretty much all the tables there in West Wendover were $5, including their 3-2 single deck blackjack game, which I was pretty amazed. That's 10 times odds on craps, no bonus bets like fire or all tall small, but I don't play those usually anyway. Overall, I mean, it was just a great experience. If I had to critique it, I would have to say that some of the craps dealers are not as experienced as I would like. But, I think they're learning the game. But overall, it was a really good experience. I also have to say that the Resorts at Wendover Players Club is very generous. Every day I played, they had some sort of comp and or tier multiplier. So I was able to rack up enough comp points to get a free night. And then I also was able to bump up to the next tier in their program. So the second part of the trip went to Reno for 2 nights, stayed at Peppermill Reno. The limits were obviously higher in Reno. They were all $10 tables with the exception of roulette. Roulette was actually $5. Funny story, that first night at the craps table, and the guy next to me would grab all 5 dice, roll them all over again until he got the right number. And then this dealer, whose name was Lonzo, I remember him, later on was making fun of him. He grabbed some chips and rolled them like the guy was rolling the dice, and he made me laugh. I toked him a nickel for that. That was good. In Reno, I drove to every casino I could, again, trying to see if I could find dice for my collection. Most craps tables over there were $10. And then went to State Line, South Lake Tahoe, where the casinos are. And as you know, there have been some wildfires there, and while I was there, it was pretty smoky. It seemed that there were firefighters everywhere. Casinos were pretty dead. The limits seemed pretty high. I think the lowest I saw was Harrah's at 10, but they also had like $15 and $25 tables. Hard Rock was 25. I think Mont Bleu was 15, but the casinos were completely dead. And then I headed back to Reno. Overall, the stay at the Peppermill was fantastic. Kind of wish the limits were lower, but the service across the board was great. The comps program wasn't as good as the one at Wendover. However, I was able to take some comp dollars against my hotel bill. And then I also was able to make it to the next tier in their Players Club. One more thing, the coffee in the Peppermill resorts, both in West Wendover and in Reno's best coffee in the room I've ever seen with their Keurig and the coffee they offer there. In fact, at Peppermill Reno, they had a real mug. It felt like, you were at home with a good cup of coffee. So anyway, keep up the great work on the podcast. Hopefully we can meet at the craps table soon, and have a good one. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, he was talking about the Casino Wizard machine. Now, I've been playing that recently. They've got one up at Harrah's now.
Right.
Yeah, the interface is not nearly as good as Shoot to Win or Roll to Win or even Stadium Gaming.
No.
And so I'm not surprised to hear that he was saying, oh, yeah, you can't take just one bet down. You have to take all your bets down. Yeah,
Right.
That's too bad. Well, it's because it's got other games on it, too. It's not just a craps machine. You
Right.
can play other games on it, too.
Huh,
so.
technology not
All
living
right,
up to
relax.
standards
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I like that they had 10 times odds at Wendover.
Yeah, that is good.
That's
Yeah.
nice. And the limits are pretty low. I mean, even $10 in Reno, that's pretty decent for nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. 10 times odds should be the norm everywhere.
Yes.
Don't you think that should be at least 10, right?
At least 10.
It doesn't need to go higher because most people aren't taking it.
Most people aren't taking it. But
10,
I'd have 100, and if you want to take it, you take it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
most people aren't. Most people aren't going to take 10 times.
Yeah.
Even on a $5 table, you're playing a $5 table and you got $200, you're not taking $50 odds.
No, but to have that option, especially a player like you, if you're, and this was nice about downtown is that a lot of places do have 10 times odds.
Right.
But let's say you're downtown. Well, Mike, you're going to make just maybe a $10 pass line bet.
Right.
Because you're going to be backing it up with 100. You really
Right.
are going to be backing it up with $100 odds. So,
right.
yeah.
I like the higher odds. I don't know why they don't do that everywhere.
Yeah. It's a long.
I know they're playing the long.
It's
haul.
a long run time, but I mean, look at this, right? Derek Stevens, the D, Golden Gate, 10 times odds. But Circa, his hot property, 3, 4, 5 times odds, right? They made that decision.
Right.
So
well, it always comes down to what you have to do to get the people in versus what you have to give up to get them in. So if you open a new property and people are coming anyway, they're coming anyway.
That's the hot place.
You might as well have 3, 4, 5. Why give them a little more? You have an older casino that maybe doesn't draw as many people. You want the 10 times odds to get the gamblers in.
Yeah, spoken like a businessman, Mike.
It's all about business, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this bonus episode. We will have a regular episode next week. And Mike, I think we have committed to this record on Sunday,
Yes.
release on Monday schedule. So
Yeah, it's a little rougher during football season.
yes.
But after that, it shouldn't be a
Well,
problem
start
at
coming
all.
over here before the early games. We'll be in good shape. Record before the early games.
What?
Yeah, sorry for
I don't,
even. Sorry for
I don't think
suggesting that.
I don't think I quite understood that, Mark.
Sorry.
That would require getting home from the casino at 3 a.m. and then getting up at like 5:30 a.m. to be here.
Yeah, the early games start at 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. So
Right.
yeah, that's be a little rough.
I'd have to be here by like at least 7:30 or 8.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to work. 4 hours is my cutoff. I need 4 hours.
That's right. Yeah. So look for again, we will have an episode next week. Get back on a schedule where we will be releasing every 2 weeks and probably on Sundays or Mondays.
Yes,
So,
and we apologize again, or I apologize for the delay.
Oh, you're fine. You look good. You look great, Dr. Mike.
Look great. And hey, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this is your birthday week.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This is
Thank
your,
you. Yeah.
your last year in the 50s.
Yep, be my last year.
So, live it up, Mark.
Okay. Will do, Dr.
Because
Mike.
at 60s, you cannot play the don't. There's not enough time left in your life to play the don't. Okay. You need to be on
I need the big hits.
You need the big hits.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.